They say every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you. If you're reported for any corrupt practice, you'll be investigated, prosecuted, and punished. Corruption is harmful to our nation. Join the campaign against it by reporting any corrupt practice to ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Let we join hands with ICPC, make them better.
Let's make Nigeria great again.
ICPC, they want to.
Come on, hand for corruption.
Break the chain of corruption now. Don't give, don't take. This message is brought to you by ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Hello viewers, welcome to Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. I am your host, Murna Barnabas Atiai. A June 7th, 2016 press release issued by the World Bank says up to 5 million vulnerable and poor people in Nigeria would be able to access social safety nets by 2021 through a $500 million International Development Association credit approved by the World Bank Board of Executive Directors. The government of Nigeria was to also contribute $1.3 billion of its own budget to this National Social Safety Nets project, which will lay the foundation for the establishment of the country's first national social safety net programs, which came to be known as the National Social Investment Program, NSIP. On this week's edition, we shall be looking at recent collaboration between ICPC and National Social Investment Office. Also on our menu, we shall bring you updates on anti-corruption stories, a bit of character molding drama, ethics and values. First, let's join Ruth Awodi for anti-corruption stories.
Welcome to this segment on anti-corruption stories. I am Ruth Awodi. A Rivers State High Court sitting in Port Harcourt has sentenced one Roland Onosemode to 6 months imprisonment for forging a Bachelor's of Engineering degree of the University of Port Harcourt. Intelligence that had reached ICPC indicated that Onosemode had been in the business of forging such certificates and selling them to interested buyers. The Rivers State Office of the Commission therefore carried out a sting operation in which an operative posed as a prospective certificate buyer, and that led to the convict's arrest with the forged certificate found in his possession. Onosemode was then charged before Justice S.H. Aprioko by ICPC on a one-count bordering on forgery of documents with the intent to criminally sell same to members of the public. The convict then pleaded guilty after the charge had been read to him at his arraignment. His counsel, Mr. Kenneth Ejiofor, urged the judge to be lenient with the sentencing, being that he was a first-time offender who did not waste the time of the court during the trial. Justice Aprioko, while delivering judgment, sentenced him to a 6-month non-custodial sentence of communal service, which will involve him putting 3 hours of hard work with ICPC every week. The nature of the hard work will be directed and supervised by ICPC. In another development, in furtherance of the collaboration between ICPC and the National Orientation Agency (NOA) to address some of the lapses associated with constituency projects implementation in Nigeria, plans are underway to take campaign messages to the grassroots and get their buy-in. A briefing on the initiative, comprising ICPC state heads from its 15 state offices and some NOA directors, was organized to familiarize them with the implementation of the state-to-state campaign on citizen ownership of constituency projects. In his opening statement, the chairman of ICPC, Professor Bolaji Owasonyi, expressed delight at the collaboration the Commission was having with NOA, which was flagged off recently with the national launch of the campaign tagged My Constituency, My Project. He said the briefing was important in order to point out how ICPC wanted the messages delivered, which was essentially to secure the buy-in of communities where these or other government projects were cited.
I think that we need to be strategic in the community members that we're involving in the conversation. As I've said, if you take those who are already politically divided, you've lost the traction. You've lost the traction. So you have to be sensitive, and since Noah is on the ground, we expect that you are not on the ground only theoretically, you are also on the ground strategically. So that if you know that somebody who says I'm a community leader is a politician that wants to use a platform to send a message, you have to exclude that person. We don't want anybody to use this campaign to send political message, whether they are APC or PDP or any other party. That's not our job. Our job is to say government is appropriating money for infrastructure and social development. That money must add value to the lives of people. That's all.
He pointed out that another important aspect of constituency projects campaign was the feedback mechanism. He said that the citizens needed to know whom to report to and the avenue to use, pointing out that the people on ground will be the ears and eyes of the Commission, so that visits to the project site will not be a dress rehearsal. In his remarks, the representative of Action Aid, a donor agency supporting the sensitization program, Mr. Andrew Mamedu, said that constituency projects tracking was one major way they were helping to tackle corruption, which is inflicting poverty on Nigerians.
For Action Aid, we are an anti-poverty agency, and we believe that poverty is man-made. So the constituency project is a typical example of how we are by ourselves inflicting or increasing poverty in Nigeria. So that's why we are happy to partner with ICPC, NOA, and DFID in this process. Now, for this particular project, with the first phase, with what we are doing in the 36 states, the plan is, what we planned before was not the whole 36 states, but we had to adjust based on what we saw on ground and based on NOA involvement. So what we are looking at now is that in the 36 states, we have a targeted number of persons we are hoping will be involved in this process. We are trying to get community and citizens to take ownership of this whole process. So that would mean that we're looking at citizens group, we're looking at citizens constituencies, so groups like Market Women Association, Road Workers Association, CBOs, community-based organization, religious group, both Christian and Muslim, where they exist
In her own comment, the coordinator of the sensitization campaign and spokesperson of ICPC, Mrs. Rashidat Okodua, MNI, said that Action Aid were partners in the campaign, but stressed the need for all actors in the process to adhere strictly to the guidelines and template provided on the implementals of the campaign. That would be all on this segment. Corruption Must Go continues with Murna. Stay with us.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is Corruption Must Go. The NSIO was set up in 2016 to coordinate and supervise all the components of the social intervention programs, such as National Homegrown School Feeding Program, Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, NPAR, and National Cash Transfer Program. These programs are designed to tackle poverty and hunger across the country and ensure a more equitable distribution of resources to vulnerable groups. Records from NSIO indicate that over 12 million Nigerians have directly benefited from the program. Despite the reasonable progress being made, the NSIO has observed shortcomings which border on corruption in the execution of the programs that have resulted in the need to collaborate with ICPC to insulate the programs from corrupt practices.
Ministry ensure that all our poverty alleviation strategies and programs remain strengthened and devoid of infractions that could undermine ongoing efforts to empower our poor and vulnerable citizens. This is why this collaborative engagement between the NSIO under the ministry now and ICPC is crucial as it aims to prevent and eliminate third-party corruption in the National Social Investment Program.
I'm so delighted that finally we're getting the ICPC on board publicly, because it's important for that signal to go out that we will not tolerate people at the other end, at the last mile, being extorted, intimidated, and defrauded, basically because they're getting small stipends from the federal. When this program started, the President charged us with the responsibility of reaching Nigerians wherever they may be, whatever political affiliation they may be, whatever culture, whatever religion. He said he's the President of Nigeria now. And this is what we have striven to attain, to see that all Nigerians are impacted by this, irrespective of whether you have connections in Abuja or not. You are entitled as a Nigerian citizen to be impacted.
Join hands with ICPC, make them better.
Let's make Nigeria great again.
ICPC, they want you.
One hand for corruption.
Break the chain of corruption now. Don't give, don't take. This message is brought to you by ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
You're still watching Corruption Must Go. According to the coordinator of the program, Mariam Uwais, the NSIO partnership with ICPC is a strategic move with great potential for reducing corruption in the social investment programs. She expressed hope that ICPC would use its expertise in combating corruption to identify, track, apprehend, and prosecute persons who abuse the social protection initiative of the government. Let us hear from her.
What we're worried about, what is emerging, is the fact that our beneficiaries at the other end are being extorted, they're being intimidated. Many of them are receiving these monies for the first time in their lives. They never held 10,000 naira. And the state officials, the local government officials, we see, we hear, we get reports that they're being extorted, they're intimidating them, telling them we're going to take this money away from you. I mean, we're going to remove you from the database if you don't give us. In some cases, when they give a woman 10,000, they take 8,000 away from her. It's really, really disgraceful. And by the time they put all this money together, they are taking millions. So we felt the need, even though we have the monitors out there, we have found that even some of the monitors extort. So we need as many eyes and ears in the field. And we know that the ICPC has professional, trained operatives who will be able to give us the feedback that we require, so that we can ensure that what we give these people is utilized by them to take ownership of their lives.
The key feature of the collaboration was the launch of a toll-free whistleblower hotline 0800 Call ICPC, through which corrupt acts in the execution of the NSIP can be reported for enforcement action by ICPC.
You said after the fireworks. So I hereby officially launched toll-free whistleblower hotline 0800 22554272. Thank you very much.
ICPC 8000, call ICPC.
Corruption not in my country.
What is wrong with you? Man saying no. Said I drove for more than 1 hour.
Ìyá mi, ọ̀rọ̀ yín náà ni mò ń ṣe. Ọ̀rọ̀ yín náà ni mò ń ṣe. Ká kúrò fún Ọlọ́run. Ká satisfy yín níbi ọ̀rọ̀ yín náà ni mò ń ṣe.
Ẹ wo jẹ́ ká lọ jàre. Ẹ ká kúrò nbí báyìí.
Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ má bínú. Hello ọ̀gá. Màá dọ́dọ̀ yín lẹ́sẹ̀ I'm assure you 5 minutes. Màá dọ́dọ̀ yín ẹ gbà bẹ́ẹ̀.
You are deceiving another customer just like you deceived us.
The same way he deceived us.
Eh? Why?
Ètò ní iṣẹ́ yìí. Bó o bá kúrò ò lè jẹun, ò lè jẹun. Bó o bá kúrò ò lè jẹun ìyá mi. Bó o bá kúrò ò lè jẹun. Workshop mi lélẹ́yìí. Ibi tí èèyàn bá ti ń ṣe ló ti ń jẹ. Ìyẹn ló ń pè ní workshop. Ibi tó bá ti ń work ni kó má ti shop.
You cannot base your business on lies. Koda now, it is corruption and it cannot work. Not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
Indeed, the commission put its expertise to motion as 2 persons had been arrested by ICPC on allegations bordering on corruption in the National School Feeding Program. Here is a report on that.
Welcome to this segment of the program. I am Peter Aveina. In this segment, we will be looking at the opportunity cost of corruption in the sum of 68 million naira allegedly mismanaged by one former and another currently serving officials in the National Homegrown School Feeding Program in Kogi State. According to statistics from the National Social Investment Office, which supervises the school feeding program, the federal government spends 70 naira to provide a meal for a school child every day. That gives you 971,428 children to be fed a meal with 68 million naira. Now, looking at the figure involved, it is heartbreaking to note how many malnourished school children have been starved by these alleged acts of corruption. In a country like ours, where many children stay away from school because of hunger and many more die by the day due to malnutrition, Nigerians should be alive to their responsibilities by reporting suspected cases of corruption to ICPC.
Social protection can have significant impacts on poverty reduction only if it is protected against the corruption and other related offenses. ICPC is committed to tightening all loose ends and effectively checkmating acts that tend to undermine the sincere efforts of the federal government to alleviate poverty in the country.
The collaboration, not just between ICPC and NSIO, but it involves a lot of civil society organizations. There are also some media partners involved. So we're expecting that those people who are well sensitized enough would also take advantage of this launch of this whistleblower line, this toll-free line, to call in and report abuse. Basically, what we want to know is opportunity to get information and intelligence about what is going wrong with the social investment program so that the government can take quick action to stop it. Otherwise, it will diminish the impact and the effect of the program, and under the circumstances also leads to losses, which we can do without now, given the economic challenges and of course the determination of government to improve governance and all that. So we expect that having a toll-free line should make it easy for Nigerians to call in, and the fact that it is toll-free, you don't have to worry about airtime and the cost of the call. To make the call, which will be received in a center processed, and then will divert for action by the most relevant office, authority based on location, the nature of incident, etc.
Okay.
Remember, it is your duty to protect the social investment programs. Call the toll-free hotline 0800 call ICPC to report any act of corruption in the programs. That will be all on this edition. You can watch the program on our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/ICPC Nigeria. And for more information about what the Commission is doing, follow us on our social media platforms at ICPC Nigeria. Keep a date with us same time next week. Bye for now.